All right, let's dive in. There's some pretty big news coming out of the Texas education world. Frisco ISD just nabbed the state's highest possible rating. But, a single letter grade, it doesn't always tell the whole story. So today, we're going to decode that A and find out what's really behind it.
Okay, so what's the big deal here? Well, for starters, this isn't some one-time thing. This is the third time in a row Frisco ISD has earned an A. You have to understand, in a really tough statewide system where the goalposts are always moving, pulling off a three-peat like that is a huge deal. It really points to some serious, sustained excellence.
And let's get some perspective on the scale we're talking about here. This is not some small, specialized district. Frisco ISD is the single largest school district in the entire state of Texas to consistently hit this top mark. Just think about that for a second. Trying to coordinate that level of performance across dozens and dozens of schools with tens of thousands of students. That sheer complexity makes this achievement even more incredible.
Now, you might be scratching your head a little bit about the timing. I mean, getting the results for a school year way after it's already over, that feels a little weird, right? Well, you're right. And there's actually a pretty fascinating story behind that delay, and it involves a huge statewide legal showdown.
So here's the quick rundown. After the pandemic basically put the whole rating system on pause, the state rolled out a totally redesigned system. But, and this is the big but, over 120 school districts basically said, not so fast, and they challenged it in court. That lawsuit put a freeze on everything for a while. The legal fight dragged on until July of 2025 when a court ruling finally gave the Texas Education Agency, or the TEA as you'll hear it called, the green light to finally release the grades.
So what even is this system they were fighting about? Well, the easiest way to think about the TEA's A through F accountability system is like an official report card. It's the state's one standardized way to measure the academic performance of every single public school district and every single campus in Texas.
And when I say every, I mean every. The scale here is just mind-boggling. We're not talking about a small sample size. This is one system that evaluates, get this, around 1,200 districts and nearly 9,000 individual school campuses. And every single one of them gets that all-important letter grade, from A all the way down to F.
Knowing the sheer scale of it all, it makes this quote from Frisco ISD board member Mr. Hill just hit differently. After he saw the results, he said, and I'm quoting here, "By every metric we are leading." I mean, that is a bold, confident statement, and it perfectly sets us up for the next big question.
Okay, so what are those metrics he's talking about? What actually goes into that A grade? How does a district like Frisco pull it off? Let's peel back the layers and see what this thing is actually made of.
It all boils down to three main pillars. The entire grade is built on these three things: student achievement, school progress, and closing the gaps. Each one measures something totally different, a different piece of the puzzle. So let's break them down one by one. First up, student achievement. This is probably the one you'd expect, right? It's all about the bottom line, the raw results. It asks a simple question: are the students mastering the material? And it measures this with things like the STAR test scores, high school graduation rates, and really importantly, how ready those students are for what comes next, whether that's college, a career, or joining the military.
Okay, pillar number 2 is school progress. And this is where things get really interesting, because it's not just about high scores, it's about growth. It asks a super important question: are students gaining 1 year of knowledge for every 1 year they're in school? And even cooler, it compares a school's growth to other schools with similar student populations. This really helps level the playing field and gives you a much fairer picture of how much progress is actually being made.
And that brings us to our third and final pillar: closing the gaps. Now, you could argue this is the most important one of all. This whole domain is about one thing: equity. It takes all that data and breaks it down by different student subgroups, by race, family income, things like that, to make absolutely sure that every single group of students is succeeding. This is the metric that guarantees a district's A isn't just masking problems, that it's a reality for all kids. So you can see earning an A across all three of those really complex domains is a huge, huge win. But what's fascinating is that for the folks at Frisco ISD, getting that A from the state, that's not the finish line. It's more like the starting block.
Yeah, the district superintendent, Dr. Mike Waldrop, he talks a lot about their own internal system, which they call the Future Ready Framework. He says it's all about aiming for something more, something broader, a more holistic view of what student success really looks like, beyond what you can just bubble in on a test.
And this slide really lays it out perfectly. You've got these two views of success. On one side, there's the state's A rating,
which is absolutely a critical benchmark based on those hard metrics. But on the other side, you've got Frisco ISD's own framework. And it's like they take that state A and build on top of it with their own local vision for creating well-rounded students who are truly ready for the future. It's about meeting the state standard and then deliberately aiming even higher.
And it looks like that philosophy is really paying off, not just at the district level, but all across the board. Just look at this. This chart shows that the culture of excellence is spreading. The total number of individual schools within Frisco that are earning their own A ratings has actually gone up since the last time they did this. So excellence isn't just being maintained here, it's actually growing. And that really leaves us with this final thought. When getting the state's highest possible grade is just your benchmark, what does it really mean to aim even higher? For Frisco ISD, it seems the answer isn't just about getting an A. It's about constantly pushing the boundaries of what that A can even stand for.